The unpredictability of watercolor can make it particularly useful for letting go of perfection in our creative self-care art making. So grab your art journal, heavy paper or cardstock, a small watercolor brush, and watercolors. I'm using an inexpensive Prang Basic 8 set because reclaiming your creativity doesn't need to cost a lot of money. Join me for some easy watercolor with fascinating effects that can both loosen us up to get even more out of our art making and teach us about self-compassion. Why is self-compassion important, and how does this simple art help us? I'll share that too. Let's get started. Last week we talked about the meaning and importance of the flow state, artistic and creative flow. Painting with watercolors, especially when focusing on the fluid interaction of our colors within defined shapes, as we will today, can easily lead to flow, which is when we're completely absorbed in an activity. As we talked about last week, it reduces stress and can help our brain and general health in important ways. This week we are looking at another healthy aspect of practicing creative self-care with art making, fostering self-compassion. I always say how important it is to embrace the process in 52-week art journal journey and Better with Art. One way to do this is by allowing yourself to be curious, to be more interested in how things come together over what it will look like in the end. Our first step is using clean water and a small soft brush to lay down 2 large circles on opposite sides of our page. I have this container with 2 sides for my water, one to rinse my brush and one for water I will keep clean. You can use 2 containers. I still want to try what I've talked about, where I've seen someone has a cup inside a bowl, so you have the 2 and they take up less space. Haven't done that yet. And I should perhaps have taped down my page, or at least opened up my art journal. So this project can be done in an art journal or on paper. If you don't have one, I would recommend, if you don't have watercolor paper, using cardstock, something heavier than printer paper. I am not using my typical water spray bottle to wet my paints and I just put that in the clean water. As I'm only using 2 colors, yellow and blue, primary colors are ideal for this. Watercolor painting is inherently unpredictable. We can't fully control how the pigments flow through the water. And that's a big part of the beauty and value of this week's activity. Dropping in our color and observing its flow through the water. Fosters mindfulness, nudging us to be present in this moment. When we're fully engaged in this moment, we can perhaps become more aware of what's really important and how we really feel. When an activity helps us shut off all the noise we may gain a new, clearer perspective on something that we've been thinking so hard about, we can't see beyond it to a solution or to some type of peace with it. And maybe at times the thoughts you can't let go of, or that shout at you, or that unhelpfully crop up and overwhelm, hobble, or seem to defeat you are about you. In what ways do you talk about yourself to yourself? Our next step is creating a third circle with clean water. A third circle that overlaps our still wet circles. And as I so often do, my circle is wonky. My circles are wonky. And my paint is pooling because I didn't tape down my paper. Our third circle brings together our colors, again, in ways we can't fully control. Appreciating or learning to appreciate the unexpected blending of our colors can help us with acceptance. We need to take the lessons we learn from acceptance in our art and let it spread to how we see ourselves. Embracing imperfection is a key component of self-compassion and self-acceptance. If you struggle with it in your art, you likely struggle with it in yourself. Allowing yourself to create without judgment, focusing on the process rather than the outcome, can nurture self-compassion. And if you haven't made art in a while, or if you struggle to make the time and take the time, or if you don't consider yourself an artist but are entering into the process of art making for self-care, completing an art piece, regardless of perceived perfection, can provide a positive sense of accomplishment. You showed up. You made art. You created something that didn't exist before you made it. Letting go of control and embracing imperfection in your creative self-care art making is integral to the mental health benefits of Better with Art and can help you soften your inner critic. How is your self-talk? Is it helping you grow or holding you back? Many people struggle with inner criticism and feeling like they're not good enough, both in their creative and personal lives. If you'd like, you could take the opportunity as you watch your colors flow and merge to think of a recent event or memory that brought up difficult feelings, perhaps over which you chastised or berated yourself, or feel like a failure. What if it wasn't you in the situation? What if it was someone you cared about? How would you talk to them? How would you encourage a friend who experienced the same thing and felt the same as you? How might you comfort them? What would your compassion for your friend sound like? You deserve the same compassion. You deserve more encouragement and less criticism. And you're the only person whose voice you can control. I'm trying this again on heavy cardstock, and it is quite absorbent, so it will change how this project works. You will have to put down quite a lot of water and add some. You need more encouragement and less criticism from yourself, regardless of the voices around you or the messages of society. We all want to grow as people, but telling ourselves we're wrong or bad or stupid or ridiculous or pathetic, that we're not good enough, isn't going to foster the growth each of us is capable of and need. Watching our colors merge can encourage a gentle, forgiving mindset. Instead of forcing an outcome, the process invites curiosity and openness, which can translate from the paper to our self-perception. It invites curiosity and openness. Denying parts of ourselves we struggle with doesn't make them go away. Acknowledging them and accepting their reality empowers us to make healthy change. Cardstock is not ideal for this, but can work. But does require a bit more encouragement, not to mention water. All of our emotions are valid and deserve that acknowledgement and acceptance. Not just blind giving into, but taking control of by admitting they're there and examining their root. We can't control the feelings we experience in reaction to things, but we can take control of what we do with them. Denying them is not the same as overcoming them. It's okay to experience emotions and have thoughts you dislike or are embarrassed by or ashamed of. It's okay to have feelings you think you shouldn't. But if you want to overcome them, you first have to admit they're there. And then give yourself the same reassurance you would give a friend or even a child. You are more than your feelings. You are more than your experiences. Treat yourself with the compassion you deserve. Self-compassion doesn't mean ignoring pain or flaws, but recognizing them with kindness and acknowledging that imperfection is part of being human. How often are the things we tear ourselves up over unreal expectations based on arbitrary external standards? Approaching our Better with Art, creative self-care art making, with a non-judgmental mindset and engaging in it for the experience rather than the outcome helps shift our focus from external validation towards intrinsic enjoyment, which can help us move toward deeper acceptance of our intrinsic value. Making art for art's sake helps us be less concerned about what others think about us. And exercising self-compassion allows us to better understand our worth. Unlike self-esteem, with its focus on performance, self-worth recognizes our value doesn't depend on what we do. Self-esteem is more likely to fluctuate based on our perceived successes and failures and external feedback. Self-worth, understand and accepting our value, is more reliable and increases our resilience. When we know we are worthy, regardless of our performance and others' opinions, we are better equipped when facing challenges and experiencing setbacks. Treating ourselves with compassion makes it easier for us to recognize and accept our worth. Cardstock will be messy. Take the opportunity this week to let some watercolor flow. And as you relax into letting it do what it does, relax into accepting you for you. What you do is not who you are. How you feel is not who you are. I am glad that you have shown up this week for another creative self-care art making prompt. And I made another oops, but that's okay. If you have found value in this video, please give it a like. Feel free to share it with someone else who needs the reminder that taking time to make art is not a waste of time, that we are wired for creativity, made in the image of the Creator. And when we are not taking time to express our creativity in ways we find meaningful and enjoy, we can't be as healthy as we could be. If you haven't yet, subscribe. My circles have not been a great example of how this project is supposed to go, nor is the way I've been using my water, but that's okay. If your circles don't cooperate with you either, that's okay. That's part of the beauty of this process. Giving it permission to do what it does naturally. And giving ourselves permission to just be. And appreciating our value, our worth. Am I thrilled with this, the way it's going right now? No, although that's pretty cool. And that is some gorgeous color. But I didn't tape my paper down quite smoothly, so I'm still having puddling, which will happen, and that's okay. Because this process is about letting it unfold as it goes. as we also offer ourselves that same grace. Our creative self-care art is perfectly imperfect. As we make it, we learn and grow, and hopefully learn to accept our value as imperfect people, but growing. That's cool. I sort of wandered off wherever my sentence was going, but to sum up, make some imperfect art. And as the colors spread through the water in ways we cannot totally control or predict, as you work through accepting that in your art, let it translate to how you think about and treat yourself. Whatever else this week brings for you, take some time to make art, because we are better with art.